Ladies and gentlemen, for the last 4 years, we at NewsX have been running a sustained campaign. A campaign to fill the seats, to give the rightful place to the displaced Kashmiri Pandits and the exiled people from Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir in Jammu and Kashmir's democratic process. It was heartening to know that the Government of India and the Election Commission of the country heard our voice and reserved 3 seats for candidates from Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir and for Kashmiri Pandits. It has been a NewsX impact that will now bear fruit when the assembly elections take place in Jammu and Kashmir in September. We now discuss how this is going to be executed. Is there going to be a nomination that is going to be made by the Lieutenant Governor, who is the representative of the Government of India in Jammu and Kashmir? Is there going to be an election that will take place in all these 3 seats, where the only contention for standing in this election and fighting for these seats is going to be that you have to be a migrant Kashmiri or you have to be a candidate from the exiled Jammu and Kashmir that has been taken control of by Pakistan. Let's start off this conversation on the telecast with me. I have with me Rajiv Chunniji. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me on the telecast. And how do you react, first of all, to the dates that have now been released for the assembly elections to take place in Jammu and Kashmir after 5 long years, and particularly with regards to the amendment that has been made, provision of that 1 seat for candidates from Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the exiles that at this point of time are living in Kashmir, and of course the migrant Kashmiris, the Kashmiri Pandits who have been given those 2 seats. Rajiv Chunniji, if you can hear me.
Ram Ram.
Okay, I have the same question for you, Sushil Pandit. How do you view the election dates being now announced, and how do you view this is going to impact the role that was played by a number of voices, including NewsX? We've been continuously pushing for Fill the Seats campaign, and now finally we have those 2 seats for Kashmiri Pandits to be either elected or nominated by the Lieutenant Governor.
Meghaji, thank you for including me in your show, and thanks for the campaigns that you have done on our behalf. But let me first clarify, I'm not one of those who share the enthusiasm of people welcoming these elections. I believe the community of Kashmiri Hindus who were expelled from Kashmir almost 35 years back have been left out in the cold, completely abandoned and made irrelevant in these elections. Very few of us, almost none of us, has been rehabilitated in Kashmir, our homes, to become relevant in the elections there. Most of our names have been chopped off the electoral rolls. We have been scattered all over the country, and some of us are not even voters where we live, and some of us are voters, and therefore we vote locally and not in Kashmir, though we belong there. There hasn't been till date a white paper by successive governments. There have been 9 prime ministers since our expulsion. No central or state government has produced a white paper explaining as to what happened in 1990. Why were we thrown out? Not
Fair
one
enough.
case.
These are grievances, and we've spoken about it at length. We have, like you said, done sustained campaigns. We've asked the right questions to the Government of India, to the state governments. My question over here right now is specifically related to the assembly election dates that have been announced, and that's exactly why I'm picking this topic. And my point over here, while this is symbolic, while this is symbolic, that there is going to be one seat that is going to be one person from the Kashmiri Pandit community that is going to be
Megha,
nominated, that is going to become MLA, that is going to be picked as part of...
Are you interested in hearing what I'm going to say on
my
that?
question is, does this bring forth, does this usher in a change that you are seeking and hundreds and thousands of Kashmiri Pandits that are seeking? The pointers that you've just mentioned, the list of grievances that you've just mentioned, do you think this ushers some sort of a reprieve that you are looking for?
No. And I'll give you the reason. It isn't that we haven't had representation in the assembly in the last 70 years. We've had MLAs, we have had MLCs, we even had ministers who had Hindu-sounding names, Kashmiri Hindus. But has that yielded anything for the community? No. It is not about making one or two individuals MLAs, MPs, or ministers. It is not about that. It is about addressing the issues of the community which are at the very root of our extinction. We are on the verge of extinction. We are losing our identity. We have lost our land and homes.
Do you think abrogation of Article 370 is a step in the right direction? Do you also feel that 5 years is a small amount of time for all these transformations and changes that you have been seeking to actually be implemented and executed and turned into a reality?
And oh no, for a government who's sincere and clear about what is to be done, 10 years is a huge time. 5 years is a huge time. We are willing to wait for another 10 years if we see things moving in the right direction.
Okay.
But unfortunately, that is not the case.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I also have with me Rajiv Chunni, if you can hear me now. He is a Pakistan-occupied Kashmir activist. I'm being told he's yet to join me on the telecast. There seems to be a network problem over there. I'm going to get in Dr. Ramesh Rena also on the telecast. He's also a Kashmiri Pandit. And Dr. Rena, how do you view the comments that have been made by Sushil Pandit, who is very pessimistic about the situation of Kashmiri Pandits even after abrogation of 370, but in wake of the elections that are taking place now very soon in just a month's time, what do you feel is the situation, is the status of Kashmiri Pandits?
Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to speak from your platform. In fact, I respectfully do differ with Mr. Sushil Pandit's version of things. It is loaded with negatives and pessimism. But the most important thing for us to realize is that we have to establish Kashmir Connect at any given point of time. The moment we lose Kashmir Connect, we are losing our core constituency. Please remember, before pre-partition days, when Hindus of Pakistan used to visit Delhi, they used to define themselves in terms of Hindus of Pindi, Hindus of Lahore, so on and so forth. Once they became part of India, they lost their core constituency of Rawalpindi and Lahore. They became very much Indians. Therefore, if we don't retain our core constituency, we will get lost in the mainstream of India. That is number one. And number two, which is most important part of the story, is that by having these 2 seats reserved for Kashmiri Pandits in the Legislative Assembly of the J&K, a legislative space has been created for Kashmiri Pandits, which was hitherto denied to them, because Kashmir has been a no minority state for all these years. There is no idea about minority. It has been a brute majority all these years. Please remember that the dilemma in Kashmir is that a Kashmiri Muslim who constitutes the brute majority in Kashmir is being linked with the mainstream Muslim minority of India. Therefore, he is enjoying the fruits of both being in power in the UT of Kashmir and at the same time enjoying the fruits of the mainstream minority of India. On the other hand, Kashmiri Pandits who constitute an abject minority in the UT of Kashmir are being linked with the mainstream Hindu majority of India, therefore defining them in terms of the majority character. this dilemma has proved very costly for us. And at the same time, we have been away from our places for almost 35 years now. And we have to find our route of entry. And the route of entry is probably because of these seats reserved for us in the legislature, because that is going to give us a foothold. That is number one. And number two, which is absolutely important for all of us to see, please remember during last parliamentary elections, 40,000 votes were polled by Kashmiri Pandits. It was not at the behest of Dr. Rana telling or at the behest of somebody telling them you vote. They came out of their own enthusiasm because they want to retain the electoral and political identity of Kashmir despite having lived outside Kashmir for all these 35 years. So we don't have to forget these few things. And if we go on having this rhetoric that unless and until Kashmir returns to normal or whatever is done, blah, 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 till then, Kashmiri Pandits will get extinct by such rhetorics which are not consistent with the ground realities in the Valley of Kashmir.
Okay. Utpal Kaul, I'll come back to you. You made your point. Utpal Kaul, let's hear it from you as well. How do you, the problems that have been raised by Sushil Pandit, by Dr. Ramesh Raina, who are the representatives of the Kashmiri Pandits across the country, how do you view the situation can be resolved? And my question persists that it may be symbolic, but does the reservation of 2 seats for Kashmiri Pandits in the assembly elections say something about the mindset and the desire for the government of India to do something positive for the Pandits?
Thank you, Megha, for just inviting me here. Let me tell you, I was fighting for Kashmiri Pandits 35 years back within Valley in Kashmir. Then when Exodus happened, I am continuously fighting. Not only fighting from my home or on TV channels, but I am fighting practically everywhere. And we know, everybody knows because of our hard work, what happened with Kashmiri Pandits. Kashmiri Pandits are victims of genocide. We know that, and everybody knows that we have lost our home. But question is, where to start? And the day Modi ji abrogated Article 370, he has paid me $10 billion on that day. That was the biggest thing after 1971, when 92,000 Pakistanis surrendered. After that, I think the biggest news in our country was when Article 370 was abolished. You see, because you don't have time, I can explain you how this Muslim politics from 1931, Sheikh Muhammad Abdullah and then National Conference and other parties, how they created narrative. Even they confused Nehru and Indira Gandhi also. But question is that without having politically empowerment of Kashmiri Pandits in Kashmir, we cannot do anything. I tell you, with Dr. Ramesh Raina, we met delimitation commission 5 times in Srinagar, in Jammu, and he also gave, I gave 2 hours presentation to Chief Election Commission because I explained him, because I have worked in Habakadal constituency. I know where the voters are, that we will be never able to elect a Kashmiri Pandit by Kashmiri Pandit votes, because the delimitation they had done by National Conference and Congress, that there was no chance of a Hindu Kashmiri Pandit to win. So there was only one chance that our voice will be in State Assembly, that you give us some, we have demanded 5 seats. And in that we said that there should be a 1 Sikh also, because they also have problems and they have no voice in Assembly. And so with this hard work, and they told us that it is not under their direction, but I told them it will be done by the Parliament. And we are happy, at least we have 2 members, and then there will be a member from PoK, so they can raise our voice. Problem with us is not only that genocide had happened to us, we have lost our home, we have lost our roots, but main problem is that we are now all over the world. But we have to start from somewhere. And what PM package, now we have more than 7,000 Kashmiri Pandits working in Kashmir. And so those who say that nothing has happened and oh no has happened, they have no idea because they don't go to Kashmir, they don't meet their those who are working there. They must not only come on the TV channels and on seminars, they must go and work in the villages in Kashmir and how 100 temples reconstruction is going on. So we have to work on in the ground, not only on the news channels of NewsX or in the Republic or Times Now. Question is we have to get involved so that we can help our community directly.
Okay.
So that is my point. I am happy that elections has been declared, but I want that it should remain UT. It should remain UT always. And because Jammu people have suffered, Ladakh people have suffered, Gujars, Bakrwals have suffered, and Kashmiri Pandits are the biggest sufferers in Kashmir. As I said earlier, we are victims of generational genocide in Kashmir. And so this genocide is more and more happening, what we have seen. But question is, we have to do something and start from somewhere.
Okay.
Thank you.
Utpal Kaul ji, when you talk about, keeping the status of Jammu and Kashmir only to be union territory. Now, there is now the resumption of the process that the statehood is going to be reinstated to Jammu and Kashmir. And if one were to work around these set of developments and parameters that have to be ensured as per the Supreme Court orders as well, do you think there can be a possible increase in the nominations of the Kashmiri Pandits from 2 to perhaps 5 and perhaps 10? I don't know.
Not immediately. Not
immediately, but in the course of time, over the years. Also, perhaps when we allow for this population, the community that was thrown out of their homes in Jammu and Kashmir, and they are once again rehabilitated, it then becomes a normal occurrence for the democratic process to function, wherein you have Kashmiri Pandits without giving them reservations and nominations get elected as the representatives of the people.
You see, it's a very ticklish question, but I think it will be very difficult that they give us more representation, because then there will be other people also asking for the representation. Let us hope for the best. Let us have first the 2, and then something positive will happen. But the most important is not only of the Kashmiri Pandits, but we have to save overall Kashmir, because when Kashmir is saved, when India is saved, then Kashmiri Pandit is naturally saved. Because narrative from 1947, and they have the main thing is that separatism, and separatism had given birth to jihad. And so we have to stop this jihad mentality. And it's a big fight with Pakistan. And we have to be very, very strong, because now they are engaging us in Jammu side and in Doda and in different parts of Jammu and Kashmir. We have to, I can say with firmly that we have to engage Pakistan with firmness, and
okay.
I think
okay.
Okay.
That is the... So, Sushil Pandit, how do you view, how do you react to what Utpal Kaul has said?
I don't want to react to him. I have a feedback and opinion of my own, and it is unfortunate. Like in most communities, we also have people, individuals, who like to curry favor with the power of the day in the hope of getting something someday. And therefore, they hide the facts. In the name of representing the community, they sell them down cheap. I would like to know, is 10 years not a good enough period to substantially move, or at least move a critical mass of Kashmiri Hindus to Kashmir? Have they been moved? No. Isn't this a sufficient time to at least start giving justice to the victims and survivors by prosecuting our killers? Has one person been hanged or found guilty? No. Isn't this good enough time to acknowledge, at least, if not the first two things? Just acknowledge what happened to us. Just give a white paper, put an inquiry. Has this been done? No. Is there a policy declared on official paper as to what are the plans, what will be done? Can we refer to it and seek some solace from it? No. The point is, by putting 2 or 3 wannabes in the place of MLAs, MPs, and MLCs, we will make them happy and they will roam around bloated in their new sherwanis waiting to be taken oath of. But it won't serve the community.
Okay. Okay.
We've had MLCs nominated.
Fair enough. You've made your point. Dr. Ramesh Rana, what do you have to say? Do you think more the number of Kashmiri Pandits who get elected, who are in the political process, who are representing Kashmiri Pandits, better it is for the community to have its say, to bring about the list that has been shared by Sushil Pandit and several others of the Kashmiri Pandit community to be executed, to be implemented?
See, parliamentary elections, be that state elections, it is the mother of democracy is election. And anywhere in the world where human rights are intact, where democracy is intact, where the constitution is intact, you have to enter politics via elections. And few things I do agree with Mr. Pandit. For example, there is no policy of government of India towards Kashmiri Pandits. And during these 10 years, we have not seen a very concrete movement or a very concrete idea being floated by the government of the day towards Kashmiri Pandits to ensure that the injustice is corrected and their threat perception.
But don't you think if there is a representative from your community who's sitting over there, he's an MP or he's an MLA or he's a minister, you have a better chance for your voices to be heard? Because
yes,
you may say politics is bad and there have been separatists who have completely taken over, but until and unless you are part of the active political process, how do you see the change?
Please allow me to continue. What I'm saying is that if you have 2 persons representing Kashmiri Pandits in the legislature, I said in my earlier remarks that it's for the first time that a legislative space has been created for Kashmiri Pandits in the legislature. Creation of legislative space in itself is a first step towards political empowerment. After all, what matters in a society like Kashmir or any other part of the country? That is, you need to have a political empowerment, a political representation, and a political voice. And unfortunately, we never had political voice. Those people which Mr. Pandit referred to as Kashmiri Pandits, they were representing their respective parties. They were either from Congress, they were either from National Conference. They became ministers too, but they had the agenda of their respective organizations, respective political parties to carry on. But here, when we have 2 Kashmiri Pandits in the name of community getting a representation in the Legislative Assembly, this means different. Therefore, there is a possibility that by raising the concerns of Kashmiri Pandits in the legislature, by trying to undo what has happened during all these 35 years, we stand a chance of rehabilitation. As Mr. Utpal very rightly said, you see, few things have happened and unfortunately we don't take note of them. For example, there are about 6,000 Prime Minister Package employees and they are doing a job. It is a first step towards re-entry in Kashmir. They are gainfully engaged there, not by doing a job alone, but they are involved in grassroots societal activities too. And then there are some more people who are employed either in banks or in AG's office or other also. That also forms a small critical mass which keeps the community alive. For example, we have few temples and shrines there. They are being looked after by Kashmiri Pandits. We have Zithir. And Zithir is being looked after by Mr. Bibi Bhatt, and he is there. He has an executive. And there is a continuous flow of Kashmiri Pandits visiting those places. And our small temples and shrines, people do keep on coming to Kashmir and visit those shrines, especially the people belonging to the local areas. Therefore, there has been a communication and a cross-connect with Kashmir. As I said in my earlier remarks, that it's absolutely important for us to maintain Kashmir Connect, to retain Kashmir as our core constituency. And both these things are connected. And unless and until we remain connected with Kashmir, unless and until we don't have the mentality of leaving our lien on Kashmir, till then I think that in the days to come, we will make slightly better of ourselves. And I think the first step is that if we are given an opportunity in the Legislative Assembly.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.